All right, so Ricardo, I was nominated to be you. I am not you. So I want to do a quick welcome, impromptu welcome. My name is Neil Hart. I'm a part of the planning committee for the second segment of this seminar. This seminar is in collaboration with the Daniel England Foundation, which is a learning platform that he has put together to show a roadmap of what a student athlete can achieve when they want to take track and field or sports to the next level. So this seminar is meant to bridge that gap. We are going to go right into the agenda. As you can see from the first five participants that signed up today, they were able to give some top-up minutes. I just want to give them some quick shout out to the ones that were able to join on early. Mr. Nathan Curtis, you were given some minutes. Congratulations. Antonia Sams and Jordan Golden. Janet Meggs, you were a winner. Unfortunately, you have not responded to my text for your phone number in order to award you those minutes. So if you get a chance, I did send you a text for those minutes. Go ahead and reply back to that text. I'm gonna do some top up for you. As for Mr. Rashid Johnson, I'm sorry, you were also awardee for some top-up minutes by being the first to log in. So again, thank you guys for your participation today. I'm just going to go straight into the agenda. Is Mr. Albert Kacha on? I'm going to turn the mic over to him if he's on. For some few words, he's the principal of Calabar High School. We're going to keep it flowing then. I'd like to turn the presentation over to our host, our special guest, Mr. Daniel England. Daniel, as you guys know, might have heard, was a former athlete of Calabar High School and represented Jamaica at the junior level. Daniel is, as I said, graduate of Calabar High School. He actually got a track and field scholarship and went on to study at Northern Arizona University, where he graduated with a Bachelor of Science degree in hotel and restaurant management. Daniel currently works for the local government in services here in Goodyear in Arizona. He's also a track and field coach at a local high school here, along with club involvement. I present to you Mr. Daniel England.
Thank you very much, my co-host. I appreciate the warm welcome. Welcome, guys, to the Calabar Scholarship Roadmap for athletes, also for academics. Glad you guys are on here. And the purpose here is to give you some direction, some guidance on how to travel the road to the scholarship roadmap. Okay, so one second. I will be sharing my screen. Give me 1 second. Pull up my documents here. Let's see here. All right, can everyone see my screen? It's called Calabar Scholarship Roadmap for Student Athletes in Sports and also in academic. You see my screen, Neil? Good?
Yes, you're good.
All right. Okay, guys, so I will be going through this slide. So at this time, welcome to the Calabar Scholarship Roadmap. I will be guiding you through the scholarship roadmap. So please take notes as needed. Okay, in third form, we would like to introduce you to the scholarship roadmap as early as third form due to the complexity of the SAT exam. Make no mistake, guys, this can be a very challenging exam, so you would need to take time to be prepared. Select alternative career to sports. We recommend that you select an alternative career to sports This will help you in your journey. In case you break a leg, you have something to fall back on. There's a dark side in sports and also in life. And we want to make sure that once you have an indication, that's something no one can take away from you. Select requisite subject for fourth form: medicine, law, journalism, physiotherapy, pharmacy. It doesn't have to be in the specific subject in the same order. However, you will need to choose a career path. Fourth form is a crucial pivot point on your roadmap. Your average scores cannot go lower at this stage. You would have to maintain or go higher when it comes to your grade. Study hard. This does not mean that you should spend 2 to 3 hours straight studying. We recommend that you spend around 40 minutes on each subject per day. And don't forget to take your breaks. This does not include homework, guys. Train hard. This means that you finish the workout that is given to you. Going hard at training for the first 5 minutes and unable to finish the workout is not training hard. Cardio videos of training and competition. This can be done on your phone or on your tablet. And just let you know, at the end of the session, handing out tablets as giveaways. Document events, matches, dates, performance in an electronic file. An example of electronic files are Dropbox or Google Drive. This way, if a coach asks you to see your work, you can easily send it to him or her. Register with the PTA Scholarship Office. This information, if you're interested in getting scholarship, please sign up with the PTA office. Now and fast, your future do matters. Research ACSAT requirements, your exam dates, application dates, exam costs, minimum score, exam preparation time. This information you can obtain from your SAT teacher or the PTA office. Register on myathlete.com. On this site, myathlete.com, there are 2 sections, one for parents and the other for students. Fit form. This is where all your preparations goes in effect. No college visit, no problem. Due to college budget cuts, no visit, no problem. Everything is now online. Just go to the college website, do your research, and if needed, go ahead and send the coach an email. Research universities with the best sporting program and alternative career choice. Seek out the school that shares your point of interest and work hard at it, trying to get to that school. Register with the clearinghouse. Do well on your CSAC exams. The higher the score is, the better your college choices. Train hard is on here twice because we believe it's very important. You have to study hard, train hard, no excuses. Nothing beat hard work. Record your videos and training and competition. This would not only help you, but it would help the coaches make better offers to you once they see your skill set. Document events for matches, dates, performance in an electronic file. This would help to have your performance in a Dropbox or a Google Drive file ready for anyone that requests your skill set. Fill out the student athlete profile. I will show you an example. Give me one moment here, and I show it to you. Okay, so this is what the athletic profile looks like, if you haven't seen it already. So right now you have your name, your pictures go here, your events, your personal best, you have your personal information here, You have your high school information, not color bar. Also, you have your SAT score, your test date, you have your overall GPA right here, and below you have your CXC subject results and also your CAPE results. You can obtain a copy of this either by email us a request, or you can stop by your coach and get a copy of this statement, right? Let's see here. So you would need to fill out that profile to make it easier for your college coach to recruit you. Go to your Eligibility Center Clearinghouse account checklist and verify that there is nothing else need to be checked. No surprises, guys. Make sure you go to your checklist. Apply and sit for the SAT. Send your SAT scores, high school transcript, CXC CAPE exams to the Eligibility Center. Apply for the university of choice. Lower sixth form. Apply and sit for the SAT. And it's okay to take the SAT twice, guys, because they do it here in the United States 2 to 3 times. So it's okay to invest in yourself and take the SAT if you don't receive the required scores, if you want to get a higher score. Apply for the university of interest. And see. Send your coaches your file and link to the IIF/WA data. Send your CAPE exam to the Eligibility Center Clearinghouse. Send high school transcript to your university. Study hard. See here. Okay, so as we conclude the college roadmap, I surely hope that this was very useful information to you on your journey transition to the next level. Thank you for your time. This is Coach England. Back to you, host.
Thank you, Daniel, for sharing what it takes and the journey and the steps that's required in order to take your athletic ability to the next level. We're going to unpack today some ingredients that goes into making that. Or next, we're going to hear from Ms. Yasmin Campbell, who is a SAT performance teacher extraordinaire. She gets the student athletes ready to take the SAT. We're also going to hear from some alumni who has taken this path in order to achieve success. We're also going to hear from 2 coaches. One coach is a Jamaican Olympic champion, Davian Clark, and also a Howard University soccer coach, Mr. Phil Gayu. Okay, so what we're doing today, we're unpacking, we're going to give you the roadmap, and I want to show you the ingredients, what goes into make that, bring that to life. I'd like to turn the call over to Ms. Yasmin James Campbell, please. Daniel, she's on mute. Can you unmute her, please? There you go. Welcome, Ms. Campbell.
All right. Hi, thank you, Neil. All right, so I'm gonna try and share my content. All right, so can everyone see the screen yet?
Yes.
Okay, awesome. So I'm gonna speak with you concerning SAT performance and studying. Hold on one sec, let me just come back here. All right, so I can't, okay, there it is. All right, so back up. So now we're gonna talk about SAT performance and studying. Is my screen gone? Can you still see it?
It is gone.
Yeah, it's gone. That's what it told me. This is weird. So let me take the video off. And let me do it again. Wow, something is going wrong. Okay. All right, hi again, everyone. I was doing screen sharing and it was fine until just now. It keeps stopping. I'm gonna do one more time. All right, so we're gonna talk about SAT performance and studying. What is a decent score? Now, the SAT is scored out of 1600 and the score is scaled from 400 to 1600. If you got 400 on the SAT, it meant that you got 0 in your math and in your English, 0 or 1. So your total score is actually your overall score. Of the 1600, half of it comes from your math score and the other half comes from your English score. Your English score is a composite of reading and grammar or writing. All right, that's not the essay section. The essay section is extra. And so when we add those scores together, you get a composite score. Now, what is a good score? This is an example of a college, and they ask for an average of 1360 to 1600. So I'm going to make it bigger so you can see. If you want a full scholarship at most of the colleges and universities, your SAT score, ignore the ACT score that you're seeing beside it. Your SAT score needs to be at 1360 to 1600. So at 1360, if I should divide that by 2, let me see, is that about 780 on the, sorry, 680. 680 on the math and 680 on the English. So that's the average. Plus, you need to have a GPA of 3.5. And so that GPA is coming from actually what you did throughout school, going from, I think, 10th up to whether it's 12th, 13th, but just a composite of your GPA, in addition to your CAPE scores and your CSEC scores. Now, if your score drops to say 1330 or 1350, then they would give you like a value that is either half of the tuition or about $8,000 for the year. And it keeps getting lower and lower as your SAT score gets lower and lower. So below 1200, if you look to the bottom where you have UA recognition, below 1200, there is no scholarship money to get. There's no merit scholarship to get for based on how well you're doing. And if your GPA also drops to below 3.5, anywhere between 3 and 3.5. So as you can see, you have to work really hard. It is said that the average score on the SAT is around 1,000, but that's not quite true. It's really 1,100. Half of the people get 1,100 or lower, and the other half gets 1,100 or higher. You find that if you're at a score of 1,000, you're in the 40th percentile, which means that you do better than 40% of the persons who have taken the test. So let's say, example, you take the test for the first time and you just did a practice test just to see how well you can do. And you score 1,000, which is 470 on the math and a 530 on the English. And the reason why I put the math a little lower, I find that most of the students, almost every student, like 90% of our students tend to do a little better on the English than they do on the math. So I'm just using this realistically. A 470 on the math means that you have a raw score of just 24 questions right out of a possible 58. A 530 on the English means that you had a raw score of 62 out of 96. And remember, we're combining the reading with the writing or the grammar. So let's look at what this raw score looks like. Did I say a 470 on your math? Look at the screen for me if you can see 470. And it shows you that you have a raw score to the left, which is in blue, of 24. All right. The English is not as easy to read because it's a combination of the writing and language. So if I go over to If I look at the reading score, I said it was a combination of 62 with the writing. To get a raw score of reading, how it's calculated, it's calculated over 40 points, which you can see over here. I'm going to bring the screen over. Look at the last number, you see 40. That's because you have 52 questions in your reading comprehension. If you slip over to the writing, it also ends at 40. But it's because if you get a score of 40, then it meant that you answered all 44 questions right. When you add those 240 together, you get 80. And then what they do is take that 80, multiply by 10 to get your 800 or to score you out of 800. Sounds confusing, but the more you take the test and you start to score yourself, the more you understand how to do it. And I work with my students to do that so that they can pace themselves. All right, so we're telling students right now to aim for at least 1,300, 650 on your math, 650 on your English. To get a 650 on the math, it means that you need to get 47 out of 58 questions right. So it means that you shouldn't get any more than 11 questions wrong. So on the non-calculator section, it's marked out of 20. You want to aim to get 17 or higher. On the calculator section, however, you want to aim to get 30 out of 38. Let's slip over to the blue side, where's the English. We're still aiming for 650 on the English or higher. You want to aim that your reading score must not be less than 43 out of 52. So I want you to think this through. It's out of 52 and it's 5 passages. Each passage is like 10 or 11 questions. If you need to score 48, it sounds like you should get around 9 out of 10 or up to 10 out of 11 questions right. That's going to require quite a lot of hard work in order to get you to that score of 43. The writing as well, 33 out of 44. You want to aim to do even better on your writing. We're a country that does a lot of grammar. There's a lot of writing and grammar. And it helps our students who are doing the SAT, except that there are a lot of rules in the US English that is not the same in the British English. So you are going to be learning a different standard of English. And of course, it's a dialect. However, it is such a strong English that it is the model that we're going to practice when we practice for the SAT. So you're going to find that certain things that you learn, you're going to have to unlearn. And if I break down the section, look at the main components of the SAT. As I said before, the reading test, you only have 65 minutes to answer 52 questions and read 5 passages. And might I add 6, because one section has 2 passages where you have to compare one against the other. It is not easy. I have had students who are supposed to take 13 minutes per question, and they take 13 minutes just to read the passage, and no time is left to answer the question. And then when they do the test, they run out of time. So what we do, we teach students how to pace themselves, how to, you have 13 minutes per passage, just chop off 8 minutes to read or less, take the next 5 minutes and answer, but make sure you read and annotate properly. Writing and language, again, that's 35 minutes for 44 questions. So that is even less time per question. You have less than a minute per question. When you look at the math section, the no calculator section, 25 minutes to do 20 questions. That is not CSEC at all. But CSEC, you did 60 multiple choice in 90 minutes? This is not a walk through the park here with SAT. When it comes to the calculator section, you have 55 minutes to do 38 questions. And you will wonder how the time just flies. You'll find that the time that it takes, let me just move to the time, is that as you add up all the time, and I'm not gonna add the essay. So without the essay, your exam lasts 3 hours and about 15 minutes or 3 hours, 10 minutes because of the 5-minute break. You add the essay, it's 3 hours and 50 minutes or 4 hours. It can get very, very wearisome. And so what we try to do is let you take a test first so that you see where you're at, because it's good to know what you're starting out with. And then as you begin to build yourself, you take another test again, and you just keep taking tests until on the day of the exam, you're used to 3 hours. All right. So how do you prepare? When do you start studying? As Mr. England says, 3 years prior, start from the 9th grade. I must say that I have worked with students in the States, and especially Asian students. Their parents have them starting in the 9th grade. One parent even brought her 8th grader to me. He came into the class, he was so lost, she finally gave up and pulled him back out of the class. But they start from the 9th grade and they keep going, and they start with the easier stuff, and then they get to the more difficult stuff by 10th grade. And so they aim to get scholarship by taking PSAT and then the SAT. And so you find that many of them, by the time they get to 11th grade, they're scoring very decent scores in the 700s. And I've seen students cry when they get 700 for math and 700 for English because they expected to do better. So I encourage us here in Jamaica to take on what Mr. England is saying. Let us start with our students from the 9th grade. Let's get them ready so that they can be globally competitive with the other students who are taking SAT. Now, how many hours should I spend practicing? It depends on your closeness to your test day. For example, if you are studying now for the test that's coming up on December 5th, you have got to put in some serious hours per week, like 7 hours per week. No, and one of those, 3 of those hours should be taking a test each time, going through, checking your diagnostics. If you are far away, like a year or 2 away, then you start by doing 2 hours per week. But we get into that. It depends on where you're at and how you're planning your future. In studying for the SAT, I encourage you to take an initial practice test, which is what we do. Please don't try to like you're gonna prep for the test. You really want to see where you are at without any preparation. Then you retrieve your score. So you take the score and the diagnostics that you get from the score, because you will get a diagnostic that will tell you where your weaknesses are, where your strengths are, and what is recommended for you to study and practice. So you use it as a guide to identify your strengths and weaknesses, learn the specific content for those weak areas, practice, and take another test and repeat the cycle again. So that's it in a nutshell. There is so much more, but you get more when you come to the classes. And so I just want to tell you thanks, and thanks to the host, and I'm going to hand over back to you.
Thank you, Ms. Yasmin, for walking us through the preparation and what it takes in order to qualify. So we're going to do a quick drawing. Just keep it lovely and keep it lively. I'm going to ask a pop quiz, and text me the answer, and the first 5 to respond with the right answer will get some top-up minutes. So here's the question. What is the maximum score that you can get on SAT? The question is, what's the maximum score you can get SAT?
Wow.
I see 1,700. So far, that's not right. Right, Ms. Jasmine?
Right. Deandra Elliott was the first person to answer correctly.
All right, so the top 5 will be getting some top-up minutes in a few minutes. All right, so
Okay.
Thank you. So as you can see, we're trying to put together a vision, a path of success. Daniel will walk us through his college roadmap and what he wished he had when he was in high school to get a path to success. We'll also talk about the performance that's required in the classroom now to get there. I'm going to turn it over to a very distinguished alumni of Calabar, Mr. Michael McPherson. But before I do that, again, you guys see a lot of Calabar flavor in this presentation. It really started off as a brainchild to present to Calabar only. And then from talking and engaging with Coach Clark, he said this information needs to be shared. So it was originally for a Calabar presentation. That's why you see a lot of Calabar alumni here. So I wanted to put that disclosure out there. However, it really is information that can be shared and be very fluid with anyone who is in sports. So, and as you can see, 2020 is a year of curveballs. So I am not supposed to be the host, but here I am. So we're just going to roll with the punches. With that being said, Mr. Mike McPherson attended Calabar in, should I give him the date, Mike? 1969 to 76. He captained or successful winning 1972 Colts football team. He was an all-man in selection, playing for the winning 1974 Walker Cup team. He also represented Calabar in cricket and track and field. He was awarded a full scholarship to Howard University. He graduated from Howard with a degree in business from business school with honors. Again, with honors. He currently serves as a certified public accountant. He's a corporate executive and is a philanthropist to various academia and sports organizations. He currently serves in the David Walker Hunt Scholarship Foundation, Jamaica Howard University Affinity Network, Calabar Alumni Washington, D.C. chapter. And ladies and gentlemen, I present to you Mr. Mike McPherson to walk us through the right attitude for success. Mr. Mike.
Neil, thank you very much, and good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to this presentation. Daniel, thank you very much in your foundation for laying the groundwork for this work. Thank for the participants, and some of the previous presenters mentioned guys. I'm going to say guys and girls because hoping I'm seeing some ladies in here also, and this is applicable to both the guys and the girls. As Neil just said, I'm what they call the elder. I've been around for a long time. I've seen a lot, and with age come wisdom. Wisdom both from reading and from learning. And what I'm going to share with you is what I'm calling the top 6 attitudes that we need for success. And I'm going to do some screen sharing now. So if you give me a second, I'll do that now. Yeah, and walk through 6 general attitudes you need for success, and then I'm going to talk about some things that have happened to me that have helped me be where I am. So the 6 attitudes for success, and let's start with the very first one. I can tell you when I started this, it was 5 success, and as I saw this meeting going on and I realized we're in 2020, I quickly added preparing for the unplanned events. We saw today, we were prepared, I can tell you, for the last 6 weeks, every Sunday night, we went and we talked about this. We went through, each of us came online maybe 45 minutes before this started, preparing for this. And it's 2020 and it's technology, so something is gonna go wrong. So again, my apology on behalf of the team. Ricardo, I know, is feeling very bad, our distinguished moderator. Everything worked for him up until this afternoon, but it happens in life and it happens in sports. You got to prepare for the unplanned events. You're going to prepare for a track meet and it rains, it's pouring rain and everything has changed. You warm up and you're ready to start and there's a delay. And those are the things that you do not plan for, but you got to adapt to it. The race is going to go on, it's going to go on later. You got to adapt to it. That's life, that's sports. It happens in your studies. For all those who are getting ready for this year to prepare for the exams, the pandemic comes on. All of a sudden, you're no longer having school. You got to adapt. You got to be flexible, and you got to study. Otherwise, it's life. It's gonna occur. It's not a matter if, it's a matter when. Unplanned things are gonna come. So you got to be adaptable, and be prepared. Again, I should say thanks to Neil. He stepped in. He was not supposed to be the host, and he stepped in. He adapted to the situation, and the show goes on. So it happens in life. And you as student athletes got to be prepared on and off the field to be flexible and adaptable. Possibility. You must believe that success is possible. Whether you're on the field or you're on the classroom, you got to be confident and you got to believe that what you're doing is possible. You're going to win this race. You're going to win this game. You got to do well in your exam. It's a mindset. You got to think positive. First, you must believe that success is possible before it can be possible. Dreams do come true. Self-reliance. Your coach or your teacher is only with you for a very short time. Training on your own is important. I can tell you, all the great ones tell you that it's not just what happened during training that takes them to the level that they are at. It's them doing it on your own. If you're a track athlete and your coach tell you that you improve on your start, when the coach is not there, you're home, practice your start. Listen to what he tells you. It's not just a time that you're dedicated to it. It's doing. You got to practice on and off the field. If you find that math is one of your weak subjects, then guess what? You got to spend more time on maths practicing it. So self-reliance. You need to be successful. That attitude of self-reliance. If you doing things on your own to be successful, you got to be committed. Commitment is key. Commitment and hard work, I put those two together. It's in all aspects of your life. You got to be committed. Again, whether it's on the field, whether it's on the track or anywhere, commitment and hard work is possible. And last but not least is growth, continuous growth. You got to improve. You cannot be the same person, whether in the classroom or on the field. You got to set standards and grow. Growth on and off the field, whether it's your running time, whether it's scoring more goals, whether it's improving your grades. Growth is just important to you. You got to do that. I mean, it's just a mindset. And now what I want to share with you is with all this, you got to surround yourself with people who are like-minded and people who have the same attitude and the same commitment as you. When I was at Calabar years ago, we knew that training was a whole lot. We knew it took a lot of time. So I surrounded myself, and I'm going to call some names: David Anderson, Michael Buckner, wherever they are. These were guys who played on the team with me. We set aside time after school before training where we'd go. There's a part of Calabar we call Long Island. It's away from the regular classes. And by yourself, we would study, knowing that after the hard training, it's going to be difficult to study at night. So, not just sit around and wait for practice, study. On weekends, we'd practice on Saturday morning and we'd study. Those guys were committed just like me. We push each other on the track. And if you're an athlete and you've got another runner who's running with you, it pushes you, stretches you, it makes you run harder. Having people around you, the same like-minded, who want to you got to surround yourself with those people. If you're doing track and field, if you're doing football in a sport, and you're also doing your work, you cannot be hanging out on the street at night. You cannot be playing video game like everybody else. You got less time than them. If you're going to be a student athlete, it's a lot of commitment. And there are some other things that you're just not going to be able to do. There are 24 hours in a day, 7 days in a week. You got to commit and you got to dedicate some time. And last, I want to share with you, when I went to Howard University, I did feel well in my GC exam at the time, you guys call it CSEX. And, I got a scholarship to Howard University. And when I went there, and I'm going to call two names again, I had two roommates, Bancroft Gordon and Gerald Dugan. I knew both of them from in Jamaica. Gerald Dugan went to Arden High School, very successful soccer player. Bancroft Gordon went to Excelsior, very successful, played for Jamaica national team. And when I went, they became my roommates. Both of them had a B+, almost an A average in school. They were ahead of me 1 year. No way I was going to go into that room and not be like them and not get those grades. So just being with them, they pushed me to study hard. I mean, when the results come out and we're sharing results, I'm not going to be getting C while they're getting A and B. So I studied with them. They studied with me. They pushed me. I pushed me. At night, we'd wake each other. The same thing happened in school. You guys surround yourself, have others who are like-minded, push you. Just want to share at Howard University, and you'll hear from Coach, academic is key. I mean, Howard is one of the, if not the top historically Black college, and the academic standards are high, the sports standards are high also. So to get into Howard is not easy. So you got to do your work. There's lots of offering. I mean, Coach Ja will come and tell you that he's been to Jamaica a number of times. He's been on the Calabar campus. Coach is my neighbor. So because of that, he comes to Champs, he comes to Jamaica, and he's looking for players. He's been successful in getting players from other schools, not been successful in getting players from Calabar and some other schools because the academic standard is not what it used to be. When I played on the Calabar team in the early 80s, there were 7 Jamaicans on the team. And I'm proud to say all 7 Jamaicans who came up graduated on time. That is unprecedented for 7 persons on a sports scholarship graduate in 4 years on time and did very well because we push each other. So again, surround yourself with people who have the same goals like you, who want to graduate. Student athlete is important. That term, student, come first before athlete. We want to see you excel on the field also, but your book is very important. I am where I am at, not so much because of sports. Sports gave me the platform to do it, but it's the academic that really allowed me to be where I'm at. So be strong, dedicate a lot of time to both. And again, thank you for participating here. All the best. I know it's a very difficult time with the pandemic, but again, surrounding yourself, having these 6 attitudes will help you a long way. Thanks very much.
Michael, thank you very much for sharing your story. I never know Mike. I didn't know Mike prior to preparing for this presentation. And when I heard his path, how he was able to parlay a soccer scholarship to a very successful private sector career that actually allows him to give back not only to his alumni Calabar, but to the greater Jamaica. He is he is a booster and as I said, philanthropist because he raised a lot of funds for students that are transitioning from Jamaica to Howard in the greater DC area. So, Mike, thank you for sharing your story. And I hope you guys take away one thing, if nothing, one thing from here. This is what I got from Mike. Surround yourself with like-minded individuals. To take nothing away, I want to drive that home. Surround yourself with like-minded individuals. They parlay you to the higher next level. I'd like to introduce Coach Gao. Coach Gao is going to talk about what coaches are looking for. Coach Gao is a former United States national, in this case we call it football, soccer player here, the national soccer player. He played 6 times for the U.S. national team as a forward between 1989 and 1991. Philip made a successful transition into coaching, including with beach volleyball, where he guided the American team between 1998 and 2002. He has coached various teams at the youth level, male and female, and is currently the head coach at his alma mater, Howard University. His coaching expertise might have something to do with his son, Joe Gao, going on to represent the United States at every level, from under 17, under 23, under 20, under 23, and now the senior level. Ladies and gentlemen, Coach Philip Gao.
Thank you so much. This is going to be hard to go after MacP, but he covered so much, and Howard University really is one of the best universities in the USA, and I want to say maybe even in the world. And when I came to Howard University, just a quick story. When I came to Howard University, of course, my freshman year, the captain of the team was Bancroft Gordon. He was also a player for Jamaica Nats, like all the best players from Jamaica joined together as a group and they formed this elite team. They were beating up on everybody, MacP was on that team. And all the other Jamaican guys that graduated from the school, and I learned so much from those guys. And when I was getting out of high school, I was like probably one of the most highly recruited students as a player in the country. But at that time, Lincoln Phillips was the coach at Howard University, and he and my father were like close friends. My father was a professional soccer player. Make a long story short, Lincoln Phillips comes to my house and tells my dad, look, hey, I want Philip to come to Howard University because I think that Howard is going to help him develop as a human being and also as a player. And then before I went, Coach Phillips was fired, right? Or he stepped down. He stepped down, and Coach Tucker obviously was the head coach at that time. And I went to Howard University anyway, and it was the best decision that I ever made, And so what I try to do with these students, like when I'm recruiting them, I also tell them about the environment, about being in an environment where coaches care about you graduating on time and things like that, not just coming out to play, And then so this is what I look for in the players. I look for hard work on and off the field. And I can honestly say all the Jamaican kids that I brought, I don't want to say kids, but young men that I brought to Howard University have all done that. Joel Cunningham came from Walmers. That was my very first recruit from Jamaica. He represented Jamaica at the under 20 level. He was the captain of Walmers. And his freshman year, right? So I always give them a test. And I said, okay, why don't you send me your transcript? Cunningham, the minute I asked, boom, the transcripts were there. Why don't you send me your SAT? Boom. And he was on time for everything. And I was like, man, this young guy's outstanding. And then so I bring him to Howard University and made him my captain. And he was my captain for 4 years. Graduated with honors and played every single game. He didn't miss one game. He was a captain for all the games, you know. And he represented Jamaica very, very well. And I'm very happy with recruiting young Jamaican players because of that. And of course, what I saw with Bancroft and, you know, Donnie Street even. I want to say Donnie Street, Christopher Hunt, and those guys. Good sportsmanship, meaning that you're having a positive attitude on and off the field. You know, just be, you know, just try to represent the school in a good way. You know, that's what that means. And then goal oriented. So when you come to school, you got to know what you want to do. You got to know what you want to do, meaning that like you have 4 years and then you're playing a sport. So you don't have time to be undecided. You know, you don't come to the school and say, well, I'm undecided. I don't know what I want to do. No, you've got to know what you want to do your senior year. So when you get into college, you start going into those major courses so then you can graduate on time, right? And all the Jamaican young men that I brought to Howard University always had some business. They want to do accounting, business administration. They knew what they wanted to do before they came to Howard, you know? And so that was a big plus. And then, of course, then when you're playing, I want you to have passion for the game, desire to win. You want to win. You don't come to school and then just loaf around and thinking that you're going to keep that scholarship, you know? You know, like one little secret that I'll tell you though, just as long as you come and you do your schoolwork, even if the level of your play drops, you're not going to lose that scholarship. If the level of play drops, not because of effort, but just, you know, because others came in, they were better than you and things like that, and you couldn't handle the level or whatever it was, you're not going to be able to lose your scholarship because of that. The only way you're going to lose your scholarship if you render yourself ineligible, but that means that you're not doing your schoolwork, you're loafing around, you mess around with a grade, and you'll be out of the school very fast. So when you come to school, make sure you're doing your schoolwork, and you know you can skate through pretty good. And then of course, desire to be the best, right? I'm not saying that you know you're gonna be the best, but you gotta want to be the best. You gotta want to be the best. And if you approach everything that you're trying to do that way, I think the sky's the limit, you know. And another thing that I've noticed about the young Jamaican players also, right? Technically, they're very good. They're good on the ball. They're good one-on-one. And I think some of the trouble that they have is like sometimes, you know, like individual play all the time. Like if you can blend that individual ability with the team ability, I've noticed that all the Jamaicans have gone really, really far with that, you know. And I'm always looking. I want to get some players from Calabar, like Mac P said. So far, I've been lucky with. I've gotten a couple players from. I had one from Cornwall, right? I've had like 6 or 7 from Wolmer's, and all of them, the SAT scores. Joel Cunningham came to Howard with, I think, almost 1,300 on the SAT. Pagan was the same, you know. And all these guys came in and they graduated. I mean, Cunningham graduated in 3 years. 3 years with honors, and then got his master's in 4 years. Pagan was the same. He graduated in 3 years, right? And then he chose to go back to Jamaica after that. So the students are outstanding if you find them. So hopefully I can get one from Calabar. And that's it.
Coach, thank you for sharing your expectation of what you're looking for in a student athlete. And I hope the student athletes on the online today, you're hearing student athlete. The student never goes before, always before the athlete, never the athlete student. It's the bookwork that's going to reward your athletic ability. So please take that away. All right, I just sent some top-up minutes. I am going to do some more top-up minutes for, by the way, you got to stay on for the entire duration to qualify for the grand prize. So let's put it out there. Also, I'm going to do some top-up minutes for the student athlete that sent me, for the first 5 students that sent me their takeaway so far. You got to put some thought into it. You can't just say, hey, good stuff. Put some thought into it. In fact, formulate that into a question of what you want to ask one of these panels later. Send that to me in a text and you're going to win some top-up minutes. All right, I'm going to pause right here. The principal of Calabar, Mr. Albert Karcher, is actually on the line with us. I would like to turn over the platform to him for really him to walk us through our sports career. Our sports can give you pave the way for you to give your career in the field. So, Mr. Albert Karcher, please. Unmute him, Daniel. He's on mute.
Good afternoon. Are you hearing me, colleague? Good afternoon.
Outstanding. Thank you.
Let me apologize for the technical issues. Also want to apologize for Chairman Johnson. He too was having challenges in getting on. And I had to call one of my technicians, but thank God I'm on. And so first, let me congratulate the team for the concept. I know it is the second year. I think a lot of our young men have benefited. I know they will continue to benefit from functions like these. And so just to say that it is important that in these times that we try to reach out to the young men, to the young ladies, or well, there may be some young ladies on, to ensure that those who have gone before, that they help to clear the way, so to speak, or help them in the journey. I know that it's especially now they're a little rough. And so I am happy for a forum like this, so that we can share, and the young men and the sports person in particular, they can listen. And I know they will ensure that they benefit from forum like this. So I want to get into my very short presentation. Let me share the screen. I'm trying to bring up my screen now. Just tell me, are you seeing?
Yes, Principal.
Are you seeing the presentation?
Yes, yes, sir.
All right, I need to just go to slide 1. All right. All right, just let me try to go to slide. All right. All right. So good afternoon again. I've said, for those who don't know, my name is Albert Karcher. I have the best job in this part of the hemisphere, that of being the headmaster of one of the most prestigious institutions that we call Calabar High School. And just so you know, I have been at Calabar for the last 7 years now, and the experience, both as an administrator and as an individual, is really second to none. And again, the old boys who have gone before, have indeed laid a very good foundation. And what I want to do now is to ensure that those youngsters who are with us now and those to come, that they will learn as much as they can, so that we can help them to become as successful as they can be. So I just want to share a few minutes in terms of sports as a career and opportunities. I mean, this is probably, colleague, one of the most thriving industry now. As a matter of fact, when you do the research, there are what we call emerging opportunities and careers in sports. And it is very good that we try to educate our sportsmen and young ladies from very early so that they can have the different choices. And so it says many persons dream of a career in the field of sports. The love for sports will give them the drive to be successful in any career that they pursue. So for those young men who are involved in sport, those young ladies who are involved in sports, once you have that drive, once you have that commitment, once you have that dedication, then there is the possibility that you can find your calling, you can find your love in terms of career in sports. Let us considering some of the career in sport. It's for athletes pursuing sports as a career. We're saying that students build their days around discipline, schedule in terms of practice. I listened to McPeems and McFall in terms of the hard work that he had to do in terms of balancing the academics. And so, students, once you're disciplined in terms of practice, in terms of your workout, in terms of your sleep, because for most athletes, the idea of pursuing a pro career may sometimes, it may seem uncertain. But what is important here is that if you are disciplined enough, if you are organized enough, if you follow the routine, if you follow the instructions of your coaches, those around you, then rest assured that success will indeed come at the end of the day. So what this slide is saying, colleagues, is that you have to be disciplined if you are going to pursue a career in sport, like in anything else. It is important that you understand the ramifications that are involved, and so prepare yourselves accordingly. In doing a little research, I was trying to work out in terms of what in terms of salaries are like in terms of sports. And so for the young people, you'll realize that if you do the research, then quite a lot of resources, financial resource and financial benefit can come to you, because I said these are emerging careers, and so they are looking for those young men who are bright, those young ladies who are disciplined, to put them in these careers or to hold on to these careers. And as I said, it is something that you can do and make a full career for life out of it. It says feeling in part of the outline a number of skills that sportsmen can use to maximize in their career field in sport. And I want to look at some of them now. So we're saying that if you are going to have a career in sports, it's going to mean that the same amount of work, discipline that you put in, let's say in becoming a doctor, in becoming a lawyer, in becoming an engineer, it is important that you understand that these pillars are also there if you are going to get into the career for sport. So what are some of these skills that we're looking at? We're saying that if in terms of sports, teamwork is something that being a part of a team, even before it's time for your career. A young man who comes into a school like Calabar, for example, at grade 7, and he comes into a football team, he comes into a track team, he comes into a table tennis team. One of the first things that is learned there is how to work together as a team. And colleagues, as principal, we do it every year. We look to see, what happened to our sportsmen and our sport ladies at the end of the year in terms of exams. And those young men who participate in sports, who work as a team, what you find that when the exam results are out, these young men and young ladies tend to do very, very well. And so one of the tenets, the major one, and one of the most important one, is that you have to be able to work as a team. And you look around all the sports around, they're team. And so it is important that you learn from that. It is also important that what you learn as a team, some of those information, how to listen, how to apply, how to share. Those are some of the same tenets that you are going to use in your day-to-day operation in terms of your academics. And so it is important that you learn to be part of a team, because the benefits down the road are going to be immense. The other thing that Fielding spoke about is the whole thing about accountability. You are part of a team, you're part of a group, so you have a responsibility. You have to give an account for your position. Not a sports person in terms of a career, but I like football colleagues, and I see where anytime you have a football team and each person playing to the instructions of the coach, where each person takes on that accountability in terms of this is my responsibility and I'm going to work to the best of my ability in the interest of the team, you find that we tend to get more out of that. So you have to be able to give an account. You have to be able to internalize what is happening. You have to be able to analyze what is happening and then make decisions based on the experience that is there. So there must be teamwork. There must be accountability if we are going to do well in terms of career. Another thing, if you are going to take up a career in sports, is the whole thing about time management. And if you look at these tenets, you'll realize that all of these tenets are indeed important things that we say to our students, or when they're preparing for the exams, when they're doing their academic work, that you have to be able to manage your time, because in managing your time, you'll be able to accomplish much, much more. So in terms of a career, in terms of career sports, it is important that time management become an important part. The question then, how can I translate that into my regular schoolwork? I'm in 5th form, I'm in 6th form. I have 8 subjects to prepare for. It is important that you have only 24 hours a day. You have to be able to manage that time, even at this stage in terms of your career. And by being very good at time management, it will then work itself later on for you to do well. So that is also very important. The thing about coachability, for me, and I'm not the expert here, but coachability for me means having that approach in terms of the ability to be able to listen, to follow instructions, and to do what is required of you. And so, when we talk about a coach, and I have all the respect for coaches. I don't know how they do it. At Calabar, I have a little joke to say, there are 2 jobs I don't want at Calabar or at any school, that of being a guidance counselor and a coach, because so much is expected. But what we have seen over the years is that when you have good coaches like what we have in most of our high schools and in the universities, we find that outside of their coaching and having the youngsters doing well in that field of sports, we find that it tends to carry itself over into their personal life. And so the whole thing about coachability, the idea is that you should be able to listen, internalize, and follow the instructions so that the outcomes can be what is required. Resilience, and I think this one, of course, goes right across the board. If you are going to do a career in sport, then you have to understand that you have to be resilient. There are going to be times when things not work. There are going to be times when you probably question yourself in terms of, why did I go this way? But you have to stuck it out. You have to be with it. You have to be resilient in ensuring that this is what you want, and despite the challenges, despite the current circumstances, we are going to achieve. Look what is happening with now in terms of COVID-19. From a sports perspective, and I can speak as an exec of ISA, we have not been able to do any sporting activity for the last couple of months. But we're saying to the students, there will come back, the time will come back where we're going to get you back on the track, we're going to get you back on the field. And so do the little things that are necessary now. Keep the faith, continue to be focused, so that at the end of the day, whenever we get back, that energy, that enthusiasm, that hunger that you have there for the sport, we can then rekindle it. And the whole thing about self-discipline. And again, I'm doing the presentation in the sense that linking it again to what is happening in their day-to-day lives in terms of school. You must be self-disciplined. And that one is, you learn so much by listening. You learn so much by internalizing. You learn so much by just watching what people do and making sure that you don't make the same mistake that some people do. So self-discipline, basically looking at, the whole idea is that, I learn from what others are doing. I can control my emotions. I listen to the people around me. I listen to the persons who have gone before. And so we believe that, when you put all of these things together, then, we can, it says these skills are that the sportsman required to help him to be very successful during and after his career. So we even touching even after your career, even after schooling, even after your finished career, we're saying that these tenets are very important in terms of making you a stronger individual, a better individual where the society is concerned. So I said these are some of the I said some of the, there are so much more, but I just pick out these because I was able to see, I was able to draw the line being in between what is happening now in terms of students going to school, seeking scholarship, and what is happening in terms of sport. And once you can draw in those two together, we are going to have a better situation at the end of the day. I want to look at what are some of the careers and opportunities in sports. And I said earlier in the presentation, probably 30 years ago, we never had some of these. And I like to call them the emerging careers. And the whole thing about, athletics director. And I said when I did the research in terms of the remuneration, some of these sporting careers are right up there. So we encourage our young men that the fact that you're involved in sport from very early age, this is something that you can make into a career. But what we're saying that you have to understand what are the tenets, and also you need to know what are the careers that are out there so that you can make better choices. So the whole thing about sports writer, we see them, you pick up the newspaper, for example, and you see what is happening. People are writing right across the world. The beauty now with what is happening with the internet, you'll find that you're in Jamaica, you know what is happening in the States, you know what is happening in Germany. And I mean, the report about Mr. Coleman and his suspension, for example, I think as soon as it was released, sports writers were writing a lot of things about the decision, and so we're able to share that. So there is a career in terms of sports writing. Sports information director. I mean, if you go, for example, to some of the universities, you will see, and I think for those online here who are working in the universities, you know exactly what we're talking about. Probably 50 years ago, we never had some of these universities never had a whole faculty in terms of sports and sport development. We're seeing that happening now right across the board because I said these are emerging careers, and we're now seeing the value of these careers. Fitness director, for those of us who are in Jamaica, we know what is happening. We see gyms emerging in every other corner. And then these gym directors, these fitness directors are doing pretty well. I learned something yesterday, colleagues, in a meeting that, I was talking to a coach and a masseuse, and he's told us in the meeting that it is he's charging something like between $7,000 and $10,000 per hour per athlete to do the masseuse. And I'm saying that, whoa, I probably would have been in the probably in the wrong profession. So there is the possibility out there that once you decide what you're doing, young men, once you decide where you're going, young ladies, then you find that there are careers that you can choose from. And my favorite one, of course, is the teacher. Again, most of the schools, physical education and sports play an important part in the entire development. And from time to time, we are always looking good teachers, looking good coaches. And so for those who are listening, there is a career in terms of teaching. It may not be as lucrative as some of the others, but it is probably more rewarding because, of course, as a teacher, once you get to touch so many lives, and later on, you'll see the fruit of your labor. The whole thing about sportscasters, we don't need to get into that. This is what is happening. We see what is happening. Sports on television now is big business, millions of dollars. I sit as the chairman of finance, treasurer at ISA, and although we are small, but I see the numbers in terms of what is happening in terms of income, in terms of sportscasters, and the business of sport. For those who are involved in sport television production, we have that. These are careers, I said, that is happening right here, and we encourage our young men to explore, the young ladies to do the research, so that you are better informed. Sports analysis, well, this one you hear it every day. There are programs on our radios, programs on our television, and these guys who are speaking about sport, for those who don't know, it's not done free. They are paid, and some of them are paid handsomely, and so this is also another area that you can look at. Things like referees. I believe that the best referees, and if we're to take football, for example, I may be wrong, but I believe the best referees would have been the ones who play the game. The best track and field coaches have been the ones who have been in the game. And so this is also another career that we could think of. Statistician, always in need, operations managers, and of course coaches. physical therapists. Again, this is one of the emerging ones. And, once you have a track team and, we know that these physical therapists are important. They are the ones who take care of the injuries. And, when you have a team, for example, at Calabar, we have over 200 boys who are training, then it means that physical therapy is going to play an important role. So, dietitian, again, this is another one that is relatively new. I think we have seen in the last 20 years, for example, where having the right diet, for example, balanced diet, that is going to affect your outcome at the end of the day. And so we encourage our young men, we encourage our young ladies, do the research. There are careers out there that, that you can sports lawyer, again, I listen to Matt P, for example, and Neil in terms of those guys from Jamaica and, all graduated. And some of them, good lawyers, sports psychologists, and of course, the sports agent. I learned of the sports agent and what person like that doing, and get to understand this is also very lucrative if you come across an agent for the right athletes. And so all I want to say now is that do the research, see what is happening, build on what what you have heard, and so that you can be more informed. And just before I finish, I just want to share with you some of the individuals who have been very successful in terms of making a career out of sport. First one is Dr. Bolden, not new to Jamaica, not new to the world. Dr. Bolden is a coach. He's a sports analyst. He's a TV personality, but it all started years ago. Where guided that he's going to do sports, and you see the outcome now. So again, encouraging our young men, encouraging our young ladies, that this is something you can get into. Grace Jackson, again, a Jamaican. A couple of years ago, she was made sporting director at the University of the West Indies. So you see what is happening is that even on the academic side, you can get into the universities, you can get into colleges. And as I said earlier, a lot of these institutions are now setting up broad faculties in terms of sport management. So there again is another one. This one I found, again, this one is Sharon Simpson, a former Jamaican sprinter. And what I found is Olympic going back to school to fill the void of psychology in sports. So very shortly, she will be one of the psychologists. And that, again, is an area that is in high demand because there's so much pressure on our sportsmen. Pressure to compete, pressure to do well, pressure from your colleagues. And so we believe that sports psychology is another area. And here's another person who did well in sport, who have moved on to the next level now, want to make it into a career. And I saved this one for the last, Mr. Chairman. Usain Bolt, brand ambassador, no need to say much, a businessman, and all Usain Bolt, all that he has now, all of that was because he was involved in sports. Has his own company, you see what is there. He's the face of a lot of organization. And so we believe that, gone are the days when you just have to look to the traditional careers. We now have what I call these emerging careers. And so we are expecting and encouraging our young people to get involved, know what is happening, and be part of this new area. Say sports is what you love, then make a career out of it. Mr. Chairman, I thank you.
Thank you, Principal Kocher, for walking us through where sports can lead us. I'd like to I took some notes from you, Principal Kocher, and I currently serve as a bank manager and a hiring manager. And you talk about certain attributes that an athlete has that really transcend into the private sector. Sure. One of the questions I asked when I'm interviewing is, do you play sports? Why? I'm looking for someone that can be held accountable, has good time management, like you referenced, and coachability. Coachability is something to be able to get feedback, use it, run with it, and grow from it. So again, an athlete to me is always going to be self-disciplined. Again, you hit all the nails right here. And these are attributes that can literally be translated from the field, the pitch, whatever, the basketball court, the classroom, into your career. So thank you for sharing those with us. Hey, I was told Mr. Ricardo Chambers is live and ready, and I can turn it over back to him so that he can walk us, introduce our next coach, David Clark. Mr. Chambers?
All right, thank you very much, Mr. Hart. I really appreciate you taking charge for that time.
My pleasure, sir.
All right, thank you very much. All right, good afternoon, everyone. Apologies for the technical difficulties. Thankfully, I am finally here. Before I move on to the next speaker, though, I just want to say something about what Principal Korcher said. There was a particular point of his presentation where he mentioned income in terms of sportscasters, and he said that he has seen the figures and that they look quite handsome. Is that so, Mr. Korcher? I just want to make it clear that what Mr. Korcher is probably talking about is not the figures for the actual broadcasters, the individuals actually doing the talking, but I think he's talking about the figures for the companies, because that's where all the money is going. So I think those are the figures that he's talking about. But definitely right, sports media is a massive area. And I just want to say quickly, because that is my area, for the students who are on and who are thinking to be part of sports media, that one of the things you want to think about is that the more successful you are as a sportsman, is the easier it will be to break into sports media. But here's the thing, you can't break into sports media if you do not have what it takes in terms of understanding the English language. That's just where it starts. And without that, you're probably not going to have great success. But if you do have those prerequisites and you do well as a sports person on the field of play, on the track, on the court, then that's where you really pull down the big money. But yes, let me introduce our next speaker. And I tell you something, there's so much I could say about this man. Public speaker, top level coach. But for this introduction, I really want to focus on his achievements in track and field and really what this man embodies. Now on the track, he's an Olympic relay bronze medalist from Atlanta 1996, 5 times a world championship relay medalist, including 4 silver medals, won 2 world indoor relay titles. I'm sure you're hearing the word relay a lot, but he's also a world indoor flat 400 silver medalist. Now, one thing that has always been said about Davion Clark is that he was an absolute beast when he had a baton in his hand. I tell you what, he split as fast as 43.5 seconds on a 4x4. And for those who know anything about track and field, one thing you will know is that that is super, super fast. There's one particular performance, though, that for me stands out in my mind, and it wasn't a 43.5 split. But it was a gold medal for Jamaica. It was the 2003 Pan American Games. And I don't know if Davion remembers this, but he was on the anchor leg against an American by the name of James Davis. Now, this race was close. And I can tell you something, for a lot of that anchor leg, I felt that Jamaica and Davion would lose that race. But I felt everything that happened in the closing 50 meters of that race epitomizes what Davion Clark is about. True grit, true determination, never giving up, always fighting to the end. He displayed that on that day, and Jamaica won the gold medal at the Pan Am Games by 0.06 of a second. This was in 2003. So ladies and gentlemen, it's my absolute pleasure and honor to introduce to you our next speaker, Davion Clark, who will be speaking to you a little bit about surviving university. Ladies and gentlemen, Davion Clark, it's all yours.
Well, thank you for that introduction. After that introduction, I feel like I could run another anchor leg.
You could probably.
No, I can't. Definitely cannot. So I'm gonna talk everybody about surviving college. I'm trying to stay under my time limit, so it's not gonna be much that most of the things I'm gonna say are things that all the other speakers before me spoke about. but I'm just going to reiterate on a few things. And the reason for that is because if you hear people that are talking to you and they keep saying the same thing over and over again, that might be important and it might be something that you need to write down. To start it off, I just want to say, first of all, college is easy. You heard me right? College is easy. Do you know what is hard? Trying, like Principal Corcho just said, is the time management part of college that makes it hard. If you think about your day right now, because I went to Kingston College, so I was a student that attended school in Jamaica, just like you guys and ladies. In high school, you have 8 hours that you're at school for, right? You get to school at 7 in the morning or 8, and you don't leave until 3, 4 o'clock in the afternoon. So you have like 8 different class schedules, 8 different sessions during the day. When you come to the American college system, you only have 2 classes per day or 3 classes per day. And so a lot of times when you come to America and to enroll in college, you're like, well, I have plenty of time because I only have 2 sessions. But in reality, especially if you come to the American college system as a student athlete, you don't have that much time. So I'm going to paint a picture for you. To be an athlete, you need to get 8 hours sleep, right? So we're going to talk about a regular 24-hour day. You need 8 hours sleep. After the 8 hours sleep, you need 4 hours for food because you need to prepare your food, because now that you're in college, you're not with your parents anymore. You just don't wake up at 6 o'clock and have breakfast. You just don't go 12 o'clock and you get lunch. You have to have some time to prep your food. And if you like to cook Jamaican food, and if you go to a different place to study, there might not be anybody else to prepare Jamaican meal for you. So you have to prepare your own meal. So I give you about 4 hours. So that's like 12 hours out of your day is already done. Food and sleep. Academics, if you have 3 to 4 hours of classes, you need to study. So every 1 hour class that you have, my rule is that you need to have at least study for an hour. So that's your academics portion between attending classes and studying and going over all the stuff that you learned will take another 8 hours. And then obviously if you're on an athletic scholarship, you have to train for about 4 hours because that's the reason why you're here. And if you're not on an athletic scholarship, then you have to work for 4 hours. So right there, that's your 24 hours. Your day is over. And we didn't mention the time for you to spend with your boyfriend or your girlfriend, or a time for you to socialize or watch movies. Your day just ended based on food, sleep, and training and studying and your academic preparedness. And so when you get to college, you have to have a single mind focus. You have to know why you're there. The 4 years or 6 years you're going to be in college, you need to go in with a plan like they've mentioned before. I want to be a lawyer. I want to be a doctor. And you have to hit the ground running and you have to work towards that goal. And you are not going to have much time for anything. And if you don't do these things, then that's why college is going to become hard. So I know you need to have time, social time to spend with your friends and your family and travel. But when you're in college, you just need to focus on the basic things that you need to do, because those sacrifices that you make for those 3 or 4 years or 6 years is going to set you up for the rest of your life. And so that's why you have to focus that much on that type of stuff. There's a thing, you guys could Google it. It's called Pyramid of Needs. And basically it's a triangle. And you have to figure out what's your priority. When I was in college, my priority was to keep my scholarship. And how do I keep my scholarship? Take care of my academics, like the coach just talked about, the soccer coach from Howard just spoke about. You have to take care of your academic needs to make sure that you can keep your scholarships. And once you do that, then your next goal is, since you're in college, you want to at least perform. So you want to take care of your athletic needs so that you can perform the way you want to. And once you do those things, you'll have everything you need to be successful. Time management is what Principal Carcho talked about. Time management is very important, and that has to be the singular focus in college. As long as you manage your time wisely, you won't have any problems succeeding. And so that's all I have for you right now. I'm sure you guys have a lot of questions, so I'm gonna make myself available to answer the questions. But I myself, I attended University of Miami. I didn't think college was hard. And that's because I thought I did a good job managing my time. I didn't spend, even though my university was in the party capital of the US, Miami, I didn't spend a lot of time on the beach and partying. I spent most of my time focused on what needs to be done. For instance, when we had an American football game or a soccer game on the weekend, everybody went to the football game. I stayed in the computer lab or in the library to study. And so, like I said, if your focus is on, I want to graduate, I want to get a college degree, and you focus on those things and you manage your time wisely, I don't think the American college system is going to be hard for you. Thank you for your time. Thanks for listening to me, and please reach out if you guys have any questions.
All right, thank you very much, Davion. We'll get to the question and answer segment in just a little while, but first, we want to give away some more phone credit, and I've got a couple very easy questions. So earlier we had Coach Philip from Howard University on, and he spoke about the schools where he got most of his Jamaican footballers from. Now, the first 5 persons to tell me where he's gotten most of his Jamaican, wow. I have not even finished asking the question and I'm seeing the correct answer. I'm sure more than 5 times already. So Neil, you're going to have some checking to do. I see Evaldo Whitehorn with the right answer. I see Jaden Brown with the correct answer as well. So I have a feeling that you're going to be in the winnings, guys. There's nothing like phone credit. All right, let me give away one final one as far as phone credit is concerned. So Coach Davion Clark spoke about college being easy, but he said there was something that was difficult. There was a difficult part of it. What is the difficult part of it? Oh my. All right, so clearly we have a lot of sprinters in this seminar, and they are moving fast, and I'm seeing only correct answers. They have some pretty fast fingers. So all right, guys, so we're going to give you an opportunity now to ask as many questions as you wish to. Any of the presenters you wish to ask a question to, you just need to type. All right, so yeah, so we're going. So we've opened your microphones and we are giving you now the opportunity to ask your question.
Oh my God.
All right, so I think a few persons have not realized quite yet that we've opened their microphones. What I'm going to do is ask that we mute the microphones. All right, so lots of answers to the questions for top up. Also remember, everyone, that there will be a grand prize draw at the end of this seminar, and there will be 2 winners, and each will get a tablet. So, but to be eligible for that, you have to participate as much as possible throughout the course of the discussions. Davion, I'll allow you to answer the question relating to badminton.
Oh, you want me to answer the question? You guys can hear me?
We're hearing you.
Okay. A lot of badminton scholarships. A lot of the badminton scholarships are in the California school system, like the smaller universities in California. California has about 32 different institutions that offer badminton scholarships, and that's where the US send most of their badminton people. So that's what you have to look at. If not, you have to look at Europe, is where you get a lot of badminton scholarships.
Okay. So Jaden Brown is asking, what would be some of the best schools for basketball? Can any of our panelists answer that question? Best schools for basketball. And there's another question that speaks to cricket in the United States. Coach Philip?
I mean, basketball. Man, you have so many ACC, SEC. I mean, like it's Duke University, North Carolina, Clemson, Ohio State, all of those schools there, you know. And Howard, we're coming up, you know. Howard, we just hired a brand new coach, a graduate from Duke University. And he's a great coach, man. I think he's going to bring Howard back to where they were before. But there's so many schools for basketball, you know. And if you win your conference, you can go to the NCAAs. But if you're an elite basketball player, you should be looking to go to one of those schools, like ACC, SEC, you know, Big Ten, Pacific 12, and all of that stuff. UCLA and those kind of schools, you know.
And I'm assuming here, Coach, that for these youngsters, whatever the sport, the most important thing is that they start the process as early as possible, especially in terms of doing the research, understanding what they will need to get into particular universities and so on.
Oh yeah, start doing your homework right now, and then don't do a form letter. You know what I mean by a form letter? It's like we can see when you cut and paste and it's not a personal letter, right? And then so just make it a personal letter to the actual coach, right? And at the heading of it, put your GPA and your SAT score. That will tell the coach, okay, maybe I should look at this guy's highlights, or maybe I should look at his video or whatever, right? But if you send me a letter with a low GPA and a bad SAT score, I'm not even going to pay you no mind. So just keep that in mind.
Okay.
Hey, Ricardo, can I ask Daniel to put it back up on his screen, his roadmap, because it's actually a lot of these questions that are being asked. How do I secure a scholarship? What are the steps I have to take? That was the first part of the presentation where the student athletes actually owned their journey. So Dan, if you don't mind just putting back the slide up that talks about the registration for the port, how to engage with coaches. That makes sense?
Yes, sir. So I guess as Neil mentioned, on the roadmap, most of these questions is already on the roadmap. One of the questions here.
And Daniel, you're gonna send this via email to all the participants, right?
Yes, everyone would have access to this roadmap. That's why we're here. And one other question, like right here, you have to research your, let's see here. So this is what you're referring to, Neil? Research a university with the best sporting program and alternative career choice.
That's correct.
Because pretty much what's coach, go ahead.
No, go ahead, Daniel.
No, pretty much what coach is saying is, I mean, the scholarships is out there and available. We just need, as student athletes and as student, you just have to do a little bit of research online, because everything is now online. So there's nothing wrong. Just go online, type in soccer, Robney, you know, the top 10 schools, and then based upon your research, submit your athlete profile and go from there. But there's nothing wrong just doing the research, make a strong effort to the schools, the universities that you wish to go.
Yeah, and before I get to the next question, I also just want to say one of the most important things, important thing that the students need to understand, as you pointed out, Daniel, the scholarship opportunities are there and available, and there are many, many of them. Now, whether you get a scholarship or the type of scholarship you get is heavily dependent on whether you have the qualifications. Yeah, so do you have the SATs? Are your scores good enough? Do you have the requisite subjects that you need to at the CSEC level, at the CAPE level, and so on? So once you check all those boxes, then it becomes very easy for you to get scholarships. It's the student athletes who struggle to get these scholarships are the ones who are not ticking all the requisite boxes. So it's important that you take care of business from your end. We talk about you starting from you're in grade 9 to figure out, to do the research, to start practicing on the SAT. So by the time you get to 5th, 6th form, then you're pretty much ready to go. Here's another question I want to bring to everybody's attention. And this is coming from...
Can I make one quick point before you go on? Can I make one quick point before you move on?
Go right ahead.
Okay. This point, you know, like how we're telling them could go ahead and look for the top schools and things like that, right? But 9 times out of 10, when you're trying to get into one of those top schools, they don't have too many full scholarships to offer. They only offer full scholarships to like national team players, national runners, and things like that. You know what I mean? If you're running a 43.5 split, yeah, you're gonna get a full ride. But if you're running a 45, you might not get a full ride, or you might go to one of those, you know, so-called like second tier schools, you know? So just make sure that, I mean, if you can afford to pay partial payment or whatever, then it's fine. But you wanna go to a school, a really good school that will give you the most money. So don't, you know, like a lot of mistakes some of the young players make is also, I want to be a professional. And I remember when I offered Cunningham a scholarship, right? And Joel Cunningham was trying to go to North Carolina, and North Carolina only offered him 25%. And I was giving him a full ride. And he was kind of like shunning me. He was like pushing me off. And if it wasn't for Kevin Asher, I would have just moved on and gotten another player. And then North Carolina never raised the money. So his parents would have had to come up with 75% of the money, you know? So make sure when a coach gives you an offer, you're not pushing that coach away. Even if you're trying to buy yourself some time, you could do it in a nice way, you know? So just make sure that you get the most money and then a good school. I think that's enough, because most of the players, 9 times out of 10, are not going to be professional soccer players when you step a foot in school anyway. You should be focusing on your academic work. Okay, that's all I have to say.
If you don't mind, I can follow up on that. In addition to that, I saw Whitethorn on as a track star. I mean, some players have multiple options. When I got a scholarship from Clemson University and Howard University. Clemson is in South Carolina, a much bigger school than Howard, much bigger. Their sport program is massive. I mean, I went to their dorm and it was like a luxurious hotel. And I decided to go to Howard, and people asked me why. And both of them were giving me pretty much, maybe Clemson would have given me more, but the support system around Howard, I thought would have been best for me. And I think that was the right decision. In Washington, D.C., you have a large Jamaican community. I knew players there who I could support, and I mentioned my 2 roommates, and I'm glad I did it. I mean, there was no one I knew at Clemson, and sometimes it's nice going different. But for those players, those sports persons, if you have multiple options, you know, take a look at the support system. Are there alumni in the area? Is there alumni association? Is there an alumni person there who can help you? That support system is also good. You're going into a new environment, a new country. Winter is going to come. Is there somebody who can help you with winter clothes? You know, just those things should be packaged. And again, I'm saying that those are for the athletes who have multiple options. If you got one option, then that may be a different story. But I mean, you got to look at its totality. And that's why Daniel thing is good, because you should be assessing the schools before you even try to make a decision. I see so many athletes jump at the first option they get. And, you got to look at that and what's best for you. If you're specializing in a certain profession, some schools are much better than others. There are a lot of schools who give a lot of internship. I mean, I got a job internship after my second year. After my third year, I got a permanent job. PricewaterhouseCoopers, one of the largest accounting firms in the world, they gave me an offer after my third year. And that's by me networking. When they come on campus, as a matter of fact, I'm going to tell you a story. My very first job at Calabar was an internship at Calabar, and they had career day. And Bank of Nova Scotia was different careers. And I stopped in at some time between classes and practice. I went in, the guy talking about banking, I went in, I talked to him. He recognized me as a soccer player. And immediately I asked him, is there an internship? And he says, get back with him. So your cachet as an athlete can help you also, but you also have to show interest, be at the right place at the right time, and avail yourself to some of these opportunities. It doesn't always come in your lap. The more elite athletes get it, but others, if you're not an elite athlete, you got to make yourself available.
Yeah, thank you very much. Thank you very much, Mike. So I'm looking at the chat here and I'm realizing, and it's a very good thing that we have students from so many different sports asking about cricket, basketball, swimming, there's rugby, badminton. Of course, we have the soccer coach here and a couple of questions about soccer coming in. And about whether scholarships are available for particular sports. I would say once it's an NCAA sport, guys, there's always an opportunity for scholarships. Here's also a question from Jordan Turner that I want to bring to everyone's attention. For an athlete who wants to leave school right after CSET, this is 5th form, would it be the same procedure as for athletes in 6th form that have CAPE subjects?
Yes, it's the same. And the reason for that, the NCAA system, they once you move straight from 5th form to 6th form, they delay your graduation date. So even though you graduate like 2020, if you did 2 years of 6th form, your new graduation date would be 2022. So going to 6th form would not affect your eligibility but when you go to 6th form, you have to do CAPE. It doesn't matter how many CAPEs you do, it's 1, 2, 3, 10, 5, but you have to do something because you cannot just go to school for 2 years and just say, well, I only attended school. You have to actually do some kind of exam to prove that you actually were in school.
All right, thanks very much, Davian. I hope that answers that question. All right, guys, keep sending in your questions and we'll get the panelists to answer as many of them as possible. Joshua Gazadere, are there scholarships for cricket and how do you apply and such? Ooh, this might be a tough one.
In the US system, there's no, cricket is not an NCAA sport. I said they play cricket in the SEC, but those are just club sports that people play for fun. For cricket, you have to look at Australian universities and UK universities if you want to access scholarships in that area.
Yeah,
and then one more. I saw somebody mention swimming.
Yeah.
Obviously, you just said that it's a Division I sport, so it's offered in the US. I would do some research since you're in swimming and find out is there a national swimming coach? Are they at a university? Because I know 2 of the national swimming coaches in Jamaica. One is at Duke, and the other one is in New York. I forget what, Fairleigh Dickinson University. So those are 2 universities where you have Jamaican connections of people who are Olympic swimmers that you can apply to their school. And I'm sure they're looking for Jamaican swimmers. So opportunities are out there, but you have to network and talk to people so you know what's out there.
Ricardo, there are a number of Jamaican
and we also have
swimmers
we
on
also have
scholarship at Howard
swimming.
University.
Yeah, we have swimming, Howard University.
Yeah, every year
And-
we treat the swimmers and the Jamaicans to Easter brunch and all that. And I know there's swimmers from Campion, from Immaculate, from Wolmer's. There are at least 6 swimmers from Jamaica at Howard University in scholarship?
All right, here's an important question, guys, coming in from Jaden Brown. I'm in upper sixth form. Would it make sense to do CAPE Unit 2 or fully focus on passing the SAT exam? He says he's already passed both CSEC and CAPE Level 1.
Well, you have to do both CAPE in order for it to count. So you have to do the two. You don't need to specifically focus on the SAT, because I'm sure if you depends on what you're doing in CAPE, I'm sure it's transferable to the SAT. But you
And
should
also-
get into a SAT prep system, I would say. Go ahead, Mike.
And also doing CAPE and study, what else you want to consider is, what will the school accept besides getting in? What subjects they're going to accept? So you can come. We have seen students who have come and started Howard and almost started as a sophomore. You know, I mean,
Yes.
based upon your CAPE results and what you do, you can get exempted from a number of subjects. And that's important if you're playing sports. So instead of you doing 15 credits, you can do 12. Instead of you taking 4 years, 3.5, or you can do a lighter load. So the CAPE subjects and your grade is very important. You get exemptions from college courses. So besides using the CAPE and the SAT to get in, beyond that, you do well in CAPE, you get exempted from all. I went in and I got exempted from a number of subjects because I did A-level, economics and geography, and those got accepted at Howard. So I had less of a load than someone was coming in without that.
Yeah.
Ricardo, I want to weigh in here. Ricardo?
Yes, man, go right ahead.
You know, I am happy that that question came up, because from time to time, as principals, we get it where students feel that they'll do 1 year at sixth form, and then, you know, they're this bus to get into, get scholarships, get into university abroad. So I'm happy for the explanation from Davian and Michael to say that going into these universities with your CAPE 1 and then your CAPE 2, it is not going to hurt you. It is going to add value. And so I'm happy that, you know, we're discussing it, because for those young men, especially those at Calabar, once we get back, there's something I want to push again to say it is important. There are benefits that you can get by completing both Unit 1 and Unit 2. So I think that is pretty good. And I hope that the young people who are here, that you understand. Try to do your CAPE 1 and CAPE 2. It probably end up being much better for you in getting into these universities. Good point, Mr. Chair.
All right, thank you very much, Mr. Corcho. Davian, I don't know if you can answer this one. You've answered quite a few already, but someone is asking about opportunities in music. It only speaks to the reach of this seminar that we have musicians in here as well.
And I have an answer for you. Actually, music, especially depend on what instrument you play. A lot of universities offer music scholarships. In the University of Texas systems of schools, especially at University of Austin, you actually get a 98% scholarship if you decide to do music. So if you're a runner and a musician, I would love to have you at my school.
Oh, wow.
but seriously, what you have to do, you have to research different colleges that offer these programs, and then see if you meet those criteria, especially for an international student. Sometimes they'll have minority scholarships and international scholarships in areas where there's not a lot of competition.
Okay, understood. And I know this one is quite a popular sport in the United States of America, not so popular in Jamaica, although there was a schools league that started a few years ago, and that is lacrosse. And I think Dorville Moore is asking about the opportunities in lacrosse at the university level.
They're wide. Lacrosse is almost, I think is like soccer. They have like 26 scholarships. So that's a great opportunity. I wish more Jamaicans would look into it, especially if you're a soccer player. All this is just doing it with a stick in your hand. Or if you're a hockey player, it's kind of almost similar. So you have to be able to show that you can move across different sports. I know with Jamaican netballers, they play basketball. Even though there's no opportunities for netball in the US, they come to the US and play basketball, and they're still able to get scholarships. So I think if you're a hockey player, you could definitely play lacrosse because it's a hand-eye coordination sport.
Yeah. We are going to be closing in a little while, ladies and gentlemen, but I just want to get through a few more questions. Calvin Rowe, Mr. Vice Principal at Calabar, is asking about core courses preferred by the NCAA. And I know this is often a sticking point for the students, especially like this year when the SAT was waived. A lot of the students, they'll have a particular GPA, but in the core courses, that GPA might not be up to scratch. So Davian, could you explain the difference there for us?
I'd gladly explain it. However, on Daniel's roadmap, all this information is there because we all consulted on this before. And like we said, we've been having meetings. So all this information is in the packet that he'll email to you, right, Daniel? So, but basically there's 5 core classes that you need. And in Jamaica, even if you take 8 subjects or 12 subjects, they only count those 5 core classes. And that's why we said you have to start from 3rd form. The earlier you start, the earlier you'll know what those 5 core classes are, and then you can move towards making sure you have those classes. Because if you're asking me this question now and you're graduating next year, it's actually too late because you already signed up for the classes in the CSEC that you're going to take. So now you have to go outside to sit on an external exam in order to get that core class that you're missing. So there's math, English, social science, what I mean by a social science like history, geography, social studies, those meet the requirements. I said math, English, social science, physical science, so like biology, chemistry, physics, stuff like that meet the other requirement for science. And then there's the other. If you took English 1 and English 2, English 1 would count as your English and English 2 would be your other. Religious education in Jamaica counts as a other. PE doesn't count. Economics doesn't count, unfortunately, I'm sorry. Principle of business doesn't count either. And so that's what I'm saying. When you get to 3rd form, you have to realize, do I want to go to American school or am I getting ready for UE? And once you make that decision, that's how you plan your courses. So information technology, I have to check. But like I said, we have all this information. Daniel has all this information for you. So once you guys send the email to him, he'll be able to provide you a direct answer. And that's why we have that profile, right, Daniel? Student athlete profile.
Yes, Coach. That's why we have it. I could show you guys a copy of the student athlete profile. It looks just like this. As you guys could see, I could send a copy of this also to you guys, also the roadmap. Pretty much as you could see below, you have your SAT score, the overall core GPA information, then you have your CXC subjects and results, and also your CAPE subject results. And once you finish this, you just submit it to anyone that requested your skill set.
Just one quick question, Davian. Someone is asking if information technology counts.
I can't tell you all the stuff off the top of my head. If you go on Google and type in NCAA Eligibility Center or NCAA Clearinghouse and search for Jamaica, it'll tell you the list of courses that will be accepted and the ones that won't be accepted. But like I said, that's why Daniel has, if you send an email to him and on that profile, you fill it out with all the courses that you have, then he can reply back to you and give you some feedback on that. But I'm not sure if information technology counts. I think it does, but I'd have to look it up to make sure.
All right. Thank you very much for that, Davian. And again, the most important thing, everyone, is that you are doing the research. And when you get the information, especially like this college roadmap, that you're actually going through it and you're reading it and you're trying to understand it. Because once you do that, it will make preparation for trying to get a scholarship a lot easier. All right, so everyone, we've pretty much run out of time. At the start, of the seminar, we did promise you that we had special prizes, main prizes for 3 persons. So essentially how this worked is that those who participated the most were put in a pot. There was a random draw done, and we have 3 winners. So 3 extremely lucky persons will be walking away with tablets from this seminar. And our first winner is Tyree Nemhard. Is Tyree here? Tyree, if you're on, you can just type the name of your school so I can know exactly which school you're from or which school you're representing. Tyree Nemhard. So you can put in the chat, Tyree, just which school you're from. Also, second winner, Nathan Curtis. So Nathan Curtis is also a winner, and we'll be leaving with a tablet. Nathan, if you can just type in the chat which school you are representing as well. And this one doesn't come as a surprise because I feel like his name popped up every other second on screen. Jaden Brown is also a winner, and we'll be walking away with a tablet from this seminar. So there you have it, Tyree Nemhard, Jaden Brown, and Nathan Curtis. And of course, there would have been some winners from for phone credit. We would have had at least, 20 top-ups this afternoon. So congratulations to all the winners, but I think everyone who joined this seminar today would have been a winner with the type of information that you would have gathered. Remember, once you get the brochures, once you get the information, ensure that you read them, ensure that you start your preparation. You cannot wait until the last minute, because as Coach Clark pointed out, if you're asking certain questions at this stage, and let's say you're in 6th form, then you are already late. So it's important that you start the process as soon as possible. Before I close, I'm just going to allow Daniel England to do a quick vote of thanks. I know he worked extremely hard with a wonderful team, of course, in putting all of this together. And I just want to leave the last word before me with him. Daniel?
Well, thank you very much, Ricardo. I really appreciate you finally get on the platform here. I just want to say a special thank you to the sponsors, Sons of Herb, also partnership with the Calabar Old Boys Association, and also the Florida chapter. I want to thank you guys for your support. I want to say a big thank you for your partnership, Coach Clark, also Principal Korcher, also Michael McPherson, Coach Philip Guam, also Miss Jasmine, SAT teacher, and then sorry we had to miss the Reverend, also the Cobra president, David Miller. I want to thank you guys from the deep of my heart for you guys to spend some time, donate your time to a worthy cause. As they say, you take a village to raise a child. Other from that, I just want to thank all the participants for being active and playing a role on the platform. Please, once again, if you take nothing from this, it's pretty much do your research. Always ask questions. It doesn't make you any less or any more, but ask the question, ask the right questions. I thank you all. My email is danielfndn@gmail.com. If you have any questions that comes up later down, I'm available for any questions. Other from that, any of my speakers want to have a last word, you're welcome. This platform will be open until midnight tonight. I will play some music just to have a little party after the party. And appreciate you guys. Thank you very much for your time. I do not take it for granted. God bless you all.
All right. If there's any one of the other speakers who want to have a closing word, we can do that. If not,
Ricardo,
yes, go ahead.
Coach here, just to say I'm probably the only principal in the group, but to say that this presentation this afternoon was extremely useful. And with the permission of the organizers, I would love to have this recording. And I know some of my other colleagues as principal would welcome this type of information. And so I am prepared to share it with other students and other schools in Jamaica. Very informative. For me, it has broadened my perspective in terms of reorganize, and I think, Ricardo, you kept on saying it. It's not at grade 10 or grade 11 that this thing starts. And so we are going to put a lot of emphasis at our grade 9. Now that we have the roadmap, we will be using it as part of our overall documentation when our grade 9 students are choosing their subjects, end of grade 9, going into grade 10. And so it's very, very useful. And so with the permission, I will then share it with my other colleagues. And I know by doing that, other students who couldn't have made it today would definitely benefit. So I really appreciate it, and I hope I can do that.
I'm really happy to hear that, Principal Korcher, really happy to hear that, because a lot of important information has been disseminated today. And yes, I am sure Daniel England and the rest of the team would have absolutely no problem in you sharing this with as many people as possible. This is what it is all about. Had it not been for COVID-19, the coronavirus, of course, we would have been doing this face-to-face. We had to revert to the virtual platform, but we still think it was an absolute success. So thanks to everyone for coming. Thanks to all the presenters. Thanks to all those who joined. We really hope that you were well informed, and we really hope that this presentation will help you on your journey to getting a scholarship to a university in the United States. So thanks again to everyone on behalf of the entire team. Thanks very much for coming.